Happy New Year, book lovers, and welcome to the library. Welcome or welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Desiree. I like to dive into books that challenge perspectives, spark conversations, and highlight marginalized voices. Today we're talking 2026 goals. Yes, I know everyone's been talking about their goals. You're probably like, yet another one, but yes, let's talk about it. Last year I had a goal of reading 60 books and I ended up reading 68. Yay! I know. It's fun to reach a goal, right? And as I was doing some reflecting on last year and how I want to move through the year in 2026, I asked myself, what are things from last year that you want to shift into next year? Like, what are some changes that you want to make? And so one of the changes I'm making, and this is just a personal thing, is changing my language. So instead of calling them 2026 goals, reading goals, I'm going to be calling them 2026 reading intentions. And the reason being is because when you intend to do something, you're putting your energy and your focus into things. And first and foremost, I believe that changing your language can do wonders. Like, changing your language does a lot in different ways. And so by changing it from goals to intentions, for me personally, when I think of something being intentional, I think of I'm putting all of my focus, all of my energy into that thing. I also failed to mention that last year, yes, I did complete my numerical goal, but I also had sub-goals that I actually did not achieve any of, and that sub-goal was reading all the works of N.K. Jemisin, Toni Morrison, James Baldwin, Bell Hooks, and Octavia E. Butler. Yeah, I know. So with adjusting my language and saying these are my 2026 intentions, I want to focus more on the quality of the books that I'm reading rather than the quantity of the books that I'm reading. And the reason why I think I didn't hit that sub-goal is because I was so focused on achieving that number of 60. I had to reach 60 books. I had to, as soon as I would read a book and finish it, I would be thinking about what's the next book to read, which I'm currently experiencing now. I finished my first book of this year, and the first thing in my head was like, okay, what book? I don't know what to read next. What book should I read next? Like, I was constantly thinking of like, what do I do now? Instead of just sitting and absorbing what I read. And I wrote like a 3-page review in my critical media journal about the book that I just read, and it was really enjoyable. I was really able to sit down and reflect on what I read, connecting ideas, themes. I went back and reread the annotations that I made on my e-reader. So with that first read, I feel like I'm setting myself up for this is how I want to engage with my books and other media moving forward. Now, I acknowledge that the sub-goals might have been a little lofty. I completely understand, but my point remains that I was so focused on the numerical goal that I was not able to focus on even achieving or thinking about those sub-goals. So for this year, my intentions, with the help of the Anti-Brain Rot Challenge, is to engage more mindfully and critically with the books and other media that I engage with. A mutual of mine, Shay the Reader, actually talked about in her 2026 reading goal how the previous year she had set a goal of 12 books a year, which is about 1 book a month, and once she reached that goal, she wasn't thinking about the numerical goals anymore. She was able to just enjoy the books that she was reading after that. I am going to adopt that, but instead of saying I'm going to read 12 books, instead I'm going to tell myself to at least try and have read 1 book a month. If I don't get to it, that's okay. The next goal I have for myself is to write 2 in-depth book reports, whether that be on a nonfiction or a fiction book. And I want to do this for several reasons, one of them being to strengthen my reading comprehension skill. Another is to get back into the practice of writing papers because I do want to go back to school. So I feel like doing it on my own time in a fun way will help prepare me for when I have to do it for a grade and when I'm paying money for it. Next, I do want to continue the goal of reading all of an author's work, but I'm just going to focus on one author this year. One thing I did realize about last year, why I struggled to read any of their works or to pick up any of them, is because I realized that I'm intimidated by some of their works. These authors are always talked about in such a way that made me feel like I wouldn't be able to comprehend or understand what they're reading, and so that intimidated me. But this year I will face my fears, and the author that I decided to go with is Bell Hooks. The reason why I chose bell hooks is because last year I realized that, or I noticed that I was really introspective, and I feel like bell hooks talks a lot about the human condition, and I think that would be a perfect continuation of what I was doing and experiencing in the previous year. Okay, my next goal involves my physical TBR. So I recently cataloged all of my physical books with a scanner that I got on the app Libib. And with that, I discovered I have a total of 196 books. I've only read probably about 15 to 20% of that. So for this year, I want to get through as many of my physical TBR as I can. And I'm going to do that by picking from my physical TBR first when I'm picking my next read. I'll still use my library. I do also have an e-reader that I will continue to use. I do have Kobo Plus, so I do have books that I get to download with the subscription. However, if I do notice that I am gravitating more toward and downloading more Kobo Plus books, or going and downloading a bunch of books or borrowing a bunch of books from the library more than choosing for my physical TBR, I'm going to shift my focus and maybe pause on borrowing library books or read the downloaded Kobo Plus books I have first before doing anything else. That pretty much sums up my 2026 reading intentions, but I do want to keep track of my intentions, and I'm doing that in the form of Traveler's Journal. I've always been a journaler. I have stacks of my previous journals that I sometimes look back on because it's nice to see that personal growth throughout the year. But I was never able to be consistent with things like budget tracking or having a physical calendar. So when I discovered a traveler's journal where you could have all of that in one place, I was like, yes, that's what I need. I feel like the traveler's journal is the solution to my chaotic mind, because I often, when describing how my brain works when it's in chaos to people, I always refer to that one scene in SpongeBob when he's scrambling to find that person's name because he forgot it. Like, the paper is flying everywhere, the brain office is on fire. Like, that's my brain in chaos mode. When I decided traveler's journals is the way I needed to go, I was like, okay, cool, let me look up those prices, let me see how much a traveler's journal would be. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not paying that price for a journal. So I decided to make my own, and I did. I made 2 of them. This peach one is my critical media journal, and then this one is my personal journal with like personal stuff, work stuff, all the fun stuff. This one was actually gifted to me by my friend Damara. This is like my everyday journal. I'm still working on how I'm going to be using all of these 3 journals so far. The personal one, I've pretty much got down how I'm using it, the systems within it that work best for me. And then with this one, this is the one that fits nicely in my purse. This one so far I've used for every morning I wake up and I write down what I'm grateful for, grocery lists, like things that I don't want to forget. So far that's what this journal is being used for. I'd be happy to do a journal ecosystem tour once I've familiarized myself with the systems within these journals and seeing what really works best for me. With a new year comes new beginnings, and I really do look forward to what this year has to hold. Just for fun, I do want to go over the bookish things that I think that we should leave in 2025. And no, I will not elaborate. Okay, the first thing I think we should leave in 2025 is film adaptation book covers. They're ugly. Stop it. Secondly, not counting audiobooks as reading. I will continue to talk about this until it stops becoming a point of contention. It's reading. Next is sprayed edges on books all the time. Next is making excuses for negative book reviews when the person is just being insert ism here. Not reading diversely. Like, be for real. It's a choice at this point. This one is for white authors in particular. Stop saying you're being discriminated against because your book is not being picked up. Maybe it's just not that good. Book banning. Now, some of y'all may not like this one, but rating books. Leave it over there. This next one is a discourse that we come across like at the end of every year, but it's shaming readers for reading too much or reading too little. This next one is really important. Asking if there's spice in the book, especially if it's YA. Stop it. get some help. This next one is particularly for me, but overcommitting to NetGalley arcs. And lastly, AI books, AI book covers, AI authors, AI content creators, AI. Anyway, thank you all for listening to me talk about my 2026 intentions. What are your intentions or goals for this year? And what are some things that you think we should leave in 2025? If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for your support. Comment a firework emoji and your current read. Don't forget to like this video and grab yourself a library card by hitting that subscribe button, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!